Welcome back to the garage, everybody. Here I am today with another install video. What we're going to be doing today is brakes and hubs. So I got a set of 4-corner MiataHubs, which are a lot beefier, a lot heavier duty, overall better to have if you're tired of replacing factory hubs and stuff like that, because it just they go through, they get eaten alive and you end up replacing them more. And by the time you replace like 7, 8, 9 of them, you might as well just bought the MiataHubs to begin with. And with that, I bought a Supermiata 949 Racing 11.75 big brake kit with the boxing and their ducting. For the rears, I went with ahead and put a set of MiataHubs on the rear, but I went with a conversion kit, which gives a bracket to allow you to run a 2000 to a 2003 NB Miata sport brake kit. So it basically just changes the disc size to a bigger disc and allows you to run the stock NA brakes. So with that being said, we're going to get started, and this is going to be a tutorial on how to install MiataHubs and big brakes. Okay, so now after removing the rotor and then the brake caliper, I have a set right there. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take this spindle nut off. So in order to do that, you can see how they tap this in. I'm going to take a punch this free, and loosen this nut up. All right, just for comparison real quick, I got this bolt off. I'll have to remove this shield. The cool thing about this is, so this is the NB sport brake right here. So I'm gonna slide this on here. So you can see it doesn't really fit with the heat shield, but this is the stock NA Miata brake. So you can see the difference in size all the way around. So what that's gonna do, that's gonna allow more heat displacement, resulting in better braking power. So it's going to be able to dissipate heat better by having a larger surface area to grasp onto and allow heat management. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the knuckle assembly. I was going to try to pull the hub off with a hub puller I have, but the problem is I don't have any lugs that are what I would consider junky enough to put on there and use them as a leverage tool. I don't want to destroy those, so we're going to take the hub off and then get this hub pressed out. I have this weird setup going here where I brace this with an old jack handle, and I have this 1.125" impact socket, and basically I am applying it right here in the center of the spindle, and I am going to hopefully give it a good whack and the spindle should fall out. Look at that. Okay, so here's the spindle. So let me show you what I was talking about. This is the OEM rear spindle. I have no idea when the last time it's been replaced. They generally don't go bad, but I kind of just went for redundancy's sake. Here is a MiataHub. Immediately you're gonna tell the difference in just thickness alone. Look at that. So you get a lot thicker of a hub. Everything about this hub is built to last and quality. So another thing you can look at here is look how these lugs or studs are countersunk compared to the OEM ones, in which they're not countersunk in the hub. This will allow for clearance on my big brake kit on the front and just generally a better design. So we'll check this one and get the old bearing on a spindle, press the new one, and then press this one in and then reapply. All right, now we're gonna get this snap ring off here. Using a pair of snap ring pliers. Nailed it. Now to get this bearing out, you basically have to press the bearing out from the back side of the spindle. I actually have a bearing puller and installer set or a drive set. So it's from Maddox, you can get them at Harbor Freight. So I'm going to use is the press tool that they come with, and it's a size 12. I'm going to make sure that it fits inside the hub, that it's pressing on the race, and then I'm going to use this to press the bearing out. So. Old bearing's out. Now the fun part is putting the new bearing in, because this thing is oddball shaped. But as you can see, this kit sits right on there. And the new one, since it's a large opening, I'll just have to find one that fits on the face and doesn't damage the seal or anything. Right, so now it's time for the new bearing. Here we go. It's pressed in. Everything looks like it's going in straight. It is in. All right, so as you can see, bearing is in flush. And there's enough room to get the C-clip in there. And this spins freely. So, you know, there's no binding. The bearings in here aren't separated. So you're good to go. And once you get your snap ring back in, then it's time to press in the spindle. Using my same spacer set from that kit. And pressing this on here. That way it does not get damaged. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is make sure you have the inner bearing here supported when you go to press this through. If not, you'll damage the inside of the bushing. Now, let's install it on the car. Okay. Now we're going to take the Goodwin Racing bracket and we will mount it to here. Wait, I lost it. I forgot. There we go. To here. There we go. All right, torque these to 55 foot-pounds. Now we will install the upgraded rotor. So there's that, and now we would take the provided Allen heads that they gave us and bolt the caliper up. Alrighty. Okay, so now these are the old pads I had. I know that it doesn't use a lot of rear brake normally, but I've had these on there for quite a while. The front brakes are toast. They started to wear out more when I put the proportioning valve in, but we got a set of new brakes. You can kind of see slight wear. Like, we're gonna put the new ones in anyways because I got them. I'm gonna keep these as spare because you never know. So I got a set of the G-Lock R12s for the rear, and we will get these installed. There's that. There we go. Look at that. There's the bracket. Larger disc. And new brakes. All I gotta do is put the wheel back on it, set it down, torque this hub, and we'll be good to go. Yep, look at that. Beautiful fit, beautiful fit. All right, so now that I got the rear done, obviously you're just gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now we're gonna work onto the front. We're gonna do both the hubs on both sides, and we're gonna install this glorious kit. I am super excited about it. It looks good. It's already got pre-bedded option on it. The pads are sitting over there somewhere in this mess. And yeah, we'll get her installed. All right, guys, to give you a little bit of reference, these are factory brakes from a 95 1.8 Miata. These are the 949 racing kit. I mean, just the thickness of them, I mean, you can tell. So this is definitely going to improve overall stopping ability and brake feel, and you can have more consistent brakes longer. Since we don't need any of this, and we're going to be replacing all this, we will get rid of all of it, because it comes with its own lines and stuff like that. Pad life wasn't terrible, so brake ducts definitely work. Look at that. This hub was already starting to go bad. Crazy. I had replaced this hub relatively recently too. Kind of wild to think about how loose it is already and like the clickiness it has. But anyways, time to take that hub off. Even all that grease that kind of just fell out of that. This hub was definitely on its way out. Yeah, look at that. The race is stuck. Yep, I'd say it was bad. What do you think? And you can see how hot that bearing got. Look at that. So now we can take the singular brake kit off, which is something we will not be using anymore. It's a cool kit. The only thing I did not like about it was it did not cool the hub down. As you can see, the hub failed again, which is, I mean, common. They're not made to put up with slicks like these were running and all that abuse, but still kind of sucks. It never directly cooled the hub. It only went straight to the brake face, which could result in cracking and all that stuff, especially with the kit, the way it was designed. All right, so before we install the spindle, I'm going to be putting the Supermiata brake kit, or the duct kit on. And you can see it lines up. It's got certain spots, cutouts for the lower control arm, you know, the spindle end, tie rod end, and it's got a little alignment in there. Now, MiataHub does provide you with a set of low profile brake duct bolts that I highly recommend using. So we're gonna install those and get those torqued down and marked. Okay, now we're going to take this threaded support spindle support, which is located inside this metal sleeve, which is inside the packaging of the hub, and we're going to put this on here facing inward like so. So you can see there's a beveled edge. You're going to put the beveled edge facing towards the inside of the car. So now the thing is, this needs to be snug but not overly tightened. About 20 inch-pounds or so, which is not very much at all. So okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a pair of channel locks and put it onto the ring. Very lightly snug it up here. Like that. Doesn't need to be tight, so there's that. All right, so next you're gonna have to have yourself some sort of caliper, okay? We're gonna have to measure the distance from the outside of this to the outside of this lip here. And it's gonna need to be 47.0 to 47.6. I have mine set up for 47.7 and we are well within the limits. I mean, yeah, we're well within the limits. We're actually less than that. So we will be good to go. All right, now we'll take the spindle and it will slide right on. At least it should. There it goes. Like so. And you see there was really no force on there. It should slide on and off like this. So you shouldn't be in a bind when putting this on. If you are, stop, check what you're doing. Make sure you don't have anything tight. Same thing for that little sleeve. That sleeve shouldn't be hard to go on. Same thing for this sleeve right here. This sleeve shouldn't be hard to go on. Mine wasn't. It slid back on. It looked like it was, but once I got it on, I literally just pushed it on with my thumb. So just keep that in mind. Make sure nothing has been bound or wound up or tightened up and stuff like that, but it should fit similar to your OEM hub. All right, now you're gonna replace your axle nut. Highly recommend getting a new one. I just replaced this one last time I did this hub. I probably should get a new one, but for now, this is what we're gonna use. I put just a tiny bit of Loctite in it, nothing too crazy. And we'll get this on here, get it tightened down or torqued down, and I will show you the torquing sequence after this. All right, so we're gonna torque this down to 100 foot-pounds of torque initially, like so. We're gonna spin it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty, and that makes sure that it is seated properly. And then after that, once they're kind of on there, we're going to tighten it down to 190 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, there we go. There we go, we're fully seated. Now we just got to fully stake that down. We'll be good to go. All right, so now we got the hub installed. As you can see, these nuts back here that hold the heat shield in place, this is why they need to be shallow, because they would hit the back of the hub. But this hub feels a lot tighter than the other one. It's not loose, so I'm glad we got to this on time. And as you can see how hot that one was getting, makes a huge difference when you have the proper equipment on your track car. Now comes installing the top hats, or the hats to the rotor system. But what we're gonna do is take these 5/16 bolts they provide you in this bag here. So you're gonna need 8 of these and some red Loctite. And what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna flip this upside down, like so. I'm gonna apply some red Loctite to all these bolts here, like so. And then we're going to install them on here while they're wet. All right, so now I'll see if I can do this by hand. I'm going to torque this down to 25 foot-pounds. I don't know if I can do this by hand, but we'll see. Okay, and you're going to do this in a cross pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2. Handy dandy torque visualizer. All right, now we install it. Okay, now we're gonna install these brackets. This bracket goes like this. These little divots here go towards the inside of the bracket. So this part of the brackets here go towards the outside, like so. So it'll go through like this, and this will go through here. That will go through here. All right, so I'm gonna get this snug where I can still move the brace around here. All right, so now that that's done, we will mount the rotor. I'm gonna use one of these lugs here, nuts, to tighten it down and keep it flush like that. All right, so now we're gonna install the rotor here. They're gonna slide behind those brackets. I'll send you guys back here in a second to show you. Okay, so try to get you back here so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so that is the brace they have there. This is the back side of the rotor. It's kind of hard to see. Sorry, I can't hold the light there. All right, so basically you got this little bracket here. And what I did is this bolt goes in the spindle, and it's a standard bolt, and you got an Allen head. I pre-snugged these, so I left these brackets loose. That's like that on the top, also like that at the bottom. And then I slid the caliper in between the two and snugged them down equally on both sides and torqued them down. So that way the caliper sits like this, and you replace the brake pads this way by sliding these out. But now I got to connect the brake line, and we will be almost to the home stretch. Okay, so now you guys remember the bracket back here, this bracket here, and that bracket. If you have the brake duct, this will go back here on those two brackets like so. So install this in between the two if you have that, which I'm going to install, but I did it for you know, instructional sakes, but don't forget to put this in between if you do have that. All right, and there you have it. There is the Supermiata 11.75 straight vaned rotor kit with duct. There's the duct there. As you can see, not only does it cool the hub, the face of the rotor, and the caliper itself. So yeah, woo, there it is, guys. All right, so as far as the rear hub installation, front hub installation, they're pretty straightforward and they're relatively simple if you have the tools. As far as the Supermiata or 949 Racing 11.75 box mount brake kit, that's a mouthful, pretty straightforward. They have really good instructions. Hopefully this video can do justice to someone who's a visual learner like me. We got it all done, got it all squared away. It's in hover mode right now. Got the front and rear up. Was test fitting some of these wheels, and let me tell you, they look great. I wound up going with some Advante 9-inch 15x9 wheels with a 35 offset. There is a 5mm spacer up front, and there's a 10mm spacer in the back. You cannot run these wheels without a spacer, at least these set up without a spacer. You're going to rub the caliper, so you have to have some sort of spacer if you want to run a 15x9. I think a 15x9.5 is fine, but as far as this one goes, you have to have at least 5mm or more. They say 7, but 5 clears plenty on the face of the rotor, and this is where you run into the problem. But once you bleed the system, it's pretty straightforward. You'll start with the left rear, right front, left front. The only difference is when you get to the front here, you're going to have 2 bleeder valves. You're going to have one in the back, one in the front, and one at the bottom here. This one you do not touch. This one is if you wanted to, depending what setup you're running, if you want this to come into this side or vice versa, don't touch this one. It's not important. The only ones you want to focus on are the ones up top here. I started with the inner, then outer, and kind of worked back and forth into the fluid was coming out without air. And let me tell you, this paired with the rear brakes, paired with the Hone Development brake booster delete, and paired with the Hone Development proportioning valve system, these brakes feel crisp. I haven't had a set of brakes feel, I don't think the pedals ever felt that great. Obviously that'll change once you get it rolling, heat into them. Bunch of things change once you get it on track, or even just driving it. We'll see after that. I wound up using an air bleeder system, which is why you kind of see this here and here. My compressor doesn't have enough CFM to like bleed this properly, but for the most part, almost all the air was gone, and I'm gonna wait till Des gets home to help me bleed the brakes manually. Plus, I always like to do air and then bleed just because it makes me feel a little better. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment below. Feel free to like this video. Feel free to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for more stuff like this. I am constantly doing install videos, constantly doing any type of track maintenance or just regular maintenance on, I mean, you guys have seen it, the Fit, the NB Miata, the NA track car. The only thing I have left is a tune. I'm going to wind up going with Paragon Performance for the tune out in Iowa, which means I don't think I'm going to be able to get to Midwest Fest. And honestly, as crappy as that sounds, one, I didn't even get a ticket. Two, I really don't want to just throw this car on track in a rush. I want to make sure it is as refined as possible, or at least to my comfort level of going on track with a bunch of my friends, because I don't want to ruin anything for anybody and or myself. And the whole point of racing is to be competitive, but it's also to go out with some of the best, closest friends you'll ever make and make sure you guys all get on track and off track in one piece. So I want to make sure I take my time, and I'm going to make sure I hurry up and take my time with this and make sure everything's kind of squared away before, you know, I get on track. And I'm probably going to shoot for Mid-Ohio. It'll probably even allow me to paint the car before you guys see it. I got some renewable lubricants, oil and rear gear fluid, and the trans fluid I got to change out anyways, which will probably I'll leave this in hover mode. And of course I got some party lights to install. So anyways, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all the new subscribers. For everyone who's reached out to me and say that I've helped them out, that really means a lot to me. That's all I want to do from these videos, just help people out, share my passion, and get people on track, or just building a nice road track car, or just doing anything in the garage and just getting out there and being creative. And that's the whole point of this channel, and it just makes me, it does bring joy to me knowing that people are out there actually enjoying it, so I appreciate that. If you guys are interested in any AWR products, any Spike Performance products, or you're interested in the Super Miata brake kit or the Goodwin Racing rear bracket extender and all that stuff, I will leave a link in the description below to everything. If you guys are interested in the AWR products, go ahead and use code ZETRO on checkout for 10% off. Anyways, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate every single one of you. All the new subscribers, thank you for enjoying my videos. And I will see you guys at the track. Bye.